Let's get something straight right now. Sonic is awesome. So awesome, in fact, that I will probably never run out of ideas for talking about him in my videos. You guys really seem to be enjoying my Sonic-related top 10 videos, so much so that you've even sent in requests and ideas for them of your own. It's great to see all this support and enthusiasm, not only for my videos, but also just towards Sonic's legacy. With all of this in mind, I think it's about time that I started directly listening to you guys by basing my next several top 10s on user-submitted ideas. Today's top 10 comes from the request of Wolf Lover 555, and this is a topic that really caught my interest. Intro sequences in Sonic games. You know, the videos that play as soon as you start up the game, which are meant to get you hyped for the experience. Similar to what I said about musical tracks in my last top 10, intro movies really can say a lot about the game to a new player, and can give them a solid first impression of the game if they're good. This is exactly what needs to happen, considering these cinematics are usually the first things you see as soon as you boot up the game, so it really is important that they leave a lasting impact. Sonic games almost always have these, and they're almost always good. But today, I'll be counting down what I believe to be the very best of the best when it comes to title sequences in Sonic games. I'm gonna lay down one major rule here though. No opening cutscenes. There is a difference between an introduction representing the game as a whole and a scene kicking off the game's story. With that said, Sonic Unleashed's intro does not count, and neither does the opening for Sonic CD. I mean, come on, we can't have our list being that easy. So now that we've made the circumstances more interesting, let's get started. This is Nerdword Entertainment's top 10 best Sonic the Hedgehog intro movies. So, I really don't like this game at all. I haven't really played it that much, but I can certainly recall my first experience with it. My cousin Trey had just gotten his very own Dreamcast with a decent collection of games, including every Sonic game released for the system. So naturally, we wanted to play them all, and this is pretty much how things went down. Whoa, hey, a Dreamcast! Let's play Sonic Adventure! Yeah, awesome as always! Hey, let's play Sonic Shuffle! I've never played that one before. It'll be just like Mario Party! Whoa, this intro is amazing! This game's gonna be hype as— whoa, this is actually pretty boring and frustrating. Let's just play Adventure 2 now. And that's about it. So, when the intro is the best part of the game, well, 1, your game sucks, and 2, the intro is probably good enough to make this list. And it is. I'm a really big fan of this cel-shaded approach in the animation. It totally feels like a natural transition into 3D for the previously 2D hand-drawn illustration style of Sonic Adventure. There's also just a whole lot going on in this sequence. It's all pretty nuts, and it can be hard to keep up with, but overall, it hypes up Sonic Shuffle to be this exciting adventure where your destiny lies in the hands of the cards. And, wow, that was over quickly. Such a high-quality, exciting cutscene followed by muddy graphics and frustrating gameplay. Good God, I hate this game. Hey, look! Another Sonic game I hate! Just like Sonic Shuffle, Sonic 3D Blast had a pretty solid intro that hypes the game up to be a whole lot more exciting than it actually is. And just to be clear on this one, I'm talking about the Sega Saturn opening, not the one for the Sega Genesis, because this sequence shows that even back in 1996, Sega knew what they were doing in terms of hiring a good 3D animation staff. For the time, I'm sure this looked amazing, and even now, it has a pretty charming look to it. Yeah, there's really not much to it, but at least it does a good job of making the game look good. And it's also not this. This series is still going? Oh my goodness, I was like 11 when the first Mario and Sonic came out. Now I'm a college student and there's still new games coming out every 2 years, with a 5th game in the series coming out later this year. I'm really not sure what the fascination is with these two former business rivals crossing over in the Olympics, but I'd be lying if I said that these weren't some of the most amusing party games I've ever played. It's not like they're fantastic games or anything, but they're pretty fun little distractions, and come on. Where else are you gonna see Luigi riding a realistic horse? Knuckles throwing a javelin, Yoshi and Tails playing ping pong, Silver curling, Donkey Kong playing hockey, or Amy, Blaze, Peach, and Daisy participating in synchronized swimming where they move beautifully and gracefully through the water in their skin-tight suits as they flaunt their feminine— Whoa! What was I saying again? Oh yeah, where else are you going to find all of this at once? Answer, nowhere. Just like the games themselves, the opening sequences in the Mario and Sonic Olympics series are just flat out silly, and that's why I love them. I can tell the animators had a ton of fun with these, and that's something that can be said about most Sonic openings these days, but I really want to stress that here. This has got to be the most edge-tastic opener to a video game I've ever seen in my life. I mean, look at this! It's Shadow the Hedgehog carrying a machine gun and riding an exploding motorcycle. How can you not laugh at this? It's ridiculous! Why does this game even exist? Why is it so dark and brooding? Why is this a thing? And why do I love this intro so much? It's gotta be for the sheer insanity of it all. Maybe it's the production values being more amazing than anything else we had seen from Sonic games at the time. Maybe it's Crush 40's music. Maybe it's just that I like Shadow too much. Maybe it's just everything. Listen guys, I absolutely loathe Shadow the Hedgehog for the unnecessary change in tone it gave to the Sonic universe, and for completely ruining my favorite Sonic character. But for some reason, I still love this opening to death. I guess it's one of those things that's so bad, it's good. It's just so over the top, I can't help but enjoy it. And if there's one thing I love in my entertainment, it's for it to be over the top. Hey, finally, a Sonic game I actually like! I have a lot of nostalgia for this one, considering Sonic Heroes was the first Sonic game I ever owned. One thing I find interesting about this intro is that you actually have to wait for the title screen to stay on for a few seconds for this sequence to show up. For that reason, I was pretty surprised to find that this was even here after already playing the game a few times. Now I've said this before and I have no problem saying it again. Sonic Heroes is one of the hammiest Sonic games I've ever played, and I love it for that. In general, I think Sonic works really well if its style of presentation is similar to that of a shonen anime. It allows for the perfect blend of heroism, attitude, and hype, and I just think that that works perfectly for the Sonic universe and its characters. I feel like this tone is very well represented in the intro, not only because we get to see all this teamwork going on between our main trio of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but also because we have what might as well be Crush 40's idea of an anime theme song playing as it all goes down. There's even an ominous villain tease in there too, so yep, anime intro. It's got all the necessary qualifications. Why is Sonic not popular in Japan? So, my original plan was to put the intro for Sonic Generations on this spot on the list. The video of Sonic running alongside his younger self left a huge impact on fans when it was first released. But here's the thing, this video came out before the actual game did, so it didn't really leave that big an impact when it came to the final product. Thinking about this, I decided it might be a better idea to give representation to another nostalgia-based Sonic game, and one that holds a very special place in my heart. The intro sequence for Sonic Mega Collection might not seem like much. After all, it's just footage of old games, but if you grew up with this game like I did, I'm sure you understand. I became a Sonic fan the very same year this compilation came out, and it was only the second Sonic game I ever owned. This is the disc that first introduced me and a lot of others to the original Sonic games, and that's a big deal. The intro sequence of any game that would do that would be memorable to begin with, but the intro for Sonic Mega Collection takes it the extra mile with an absolutely beautiful piece of music to go along with it. To this day, it's probably my most nostalgic song in the series, and it just makes me want to shed a tear every time I watch this intro. Yes, this one's really only on here for completely personal reasons, but hey, isn't that what lists like these are for? There you go! I don't even have to show anymore! You get it! That's how iconic this intro is! So, what do you know? Everyone's favorite Sonic game also has everyone's favorite Sonic intro. Marking the first time Sonic has ever appeared on a Nintendo home console, the Gamecube port of Sonic Adventure 2, dubbed as Battle, featured tons of new multiplayer additions, graphical enhancements, and extra content, and even had a brand new opening sequence to boot. The intro uses in-game graphics, but it's so awesome that doesn't even matter. This sequence was a lot of people's first introduction to Shadow the Hedgehog and Rouge the Bat, and it did a great job of establishing Sonic and Shadow as rivals with that oh-so-iconic crossing in front of the moon pose. Another thing I like is the music, which teases the song Live and Learn, which you'll hear later on in the climax of the game where everything comes full circle. And I don't know about you guys, but that blew my mind when I first encountered it. I mean, imagine you're a kid playing this game, turning it on every day, seeing this intro, hearing those 3 words, and being all like, what does that even mean? Then getting to the final boss of the game, hearing those lyrics again in the full song, and then being all like, oh my god, that's the song! That's what it is! It was awesome, and that made you appreciate this intro twice as much. It's just so good. So you guys are probably pretty bummed that Sonic CD didn't make it on this list, and hey, I get that. Seeing Sonic games represented in hand-drawn Japanese animated form really is a sight to see, and it's an approach to Sonic that just seems to get the audience hyped. So, remember that one other time they did it? Being the only really awesome Sonic game to come out in 2006, Sonic Riders introduced the world to yet another radically different take on Sonic. Radical. And this was one that 10-year-old me could actually get down with at the time. Putting Sonic in a futuristic extreme sports setting? How could a kid not love that? And how could a kid not love all of it being presented in the form of an anime at the very beginning? It's awesome. I'm really not sure why the producers decided to go this direction with the intro, but hey, I'll take it. To this day, I stand by the belief that from a design standpoint, Sonic works best through hand-drawn illustrations and animations. With that said, it's great to see high-quality 2D animation come out of the Sonic franchise. It's the main reason why I love the 1996 OVA series, and the animation quality and art style are fantastic here as well. I really hope the art direction for the series one day returns to the hand-drawn approach that we've seen in games like this and on the Japanese Sonic Channel website. It's an aspect of Sonic that I'm very passionate about. Fun fact before we move on, the animation studio that crafted Sonic Riders opening was none other than Production IG. And if you watch anime at all, you have most likely seen a work by them. It's pretty funny to imagine that the same creators of a Sonic animation were also the same people that went on to help create this little project. If you're gonna have the hands-down cheesiest theme music in Sonic history, you might as well accompany it with one of the series' best intros. Representing the start of a newer, more lighthearted era for the series, Sonic Colors' opening sequence is just a blast. It's beautifully animated, always in motion, and is tons of fun from beginning to end. It also stands as one of the few Sonic intros to actually give the player an idea of what the game has in store from a gameplay perspective. It showcases the Wisps in action, which were brand new and unique to this game, and the intro did a fantastic job of selling the idea to the audience. Just about every Wisp is here and accounted for, and you, the player, are suddenly very interested in using these new power-ups in-game. With that, the mission of this intro has been accomplished, and even aside from that, it features some of the most beautiful CGI animation in the Sonic franchise. Coming straight out of Marza Animation Planet, this sequence is definitely a good follow-up to the studio's CG work on Sonic Unleashed. The animations are as expressive as ever, especially for Dr. Eggman and his sidekicks, and there's just so much color. It's such a pleasant sight to see. I guess you could say, the colors feel so right. The year is 1999. Sega has released their newest console, the Dreamcast, all across the world. Launching alongside the console was Sonic the Hedgehog's first ever fully 3D adventure, appropriately titled Sonic Adventure. Fans were ecstatic, and were ready to experience the classic Sega Genesis mascot in a whole new way. However, with a shift in dimensions also come further innovations, and little did the community know that Sonic was about to take on an evolution beyond all expectations. Sonic was taller and more modernized than before. He had learned a variety of new tricks, he had more friends along with him, the world he lived in had changed, and he was about to play a role in a brand new story where the stakes were higher than ever. Sonic Adventure meant business. It reminded players worldwide that Sonic wasn't just for kids. It showed us that Sonic was a franchise that could keep up with the times and deliver a deeper, more mature story with a relatable setting and all-powerful threat in the form of chaos. And surprisingly enough, it was able to do all of this at the very moment the game was turned on, with an introductory sequence that not only presented a great shift in tone for the franchise and the evolution of its characters, but was even ambitious enough to reveal the endgame. This is what you have to look forward to. This is what you're saving the world from. This is where your adventure ends. So now that you know that, how about you press start and let it begin? It was an unexpected and daring decision by the developers, but one that I believe paid off tremendously. In addition to this, adding to the impact of it all was the debut appearance of Crush 40, the group who would eventually provide some of the greatest musical influence in all of Sonic's history. Accompanying Sonic Adventure's intro was their song titled Open Your Heart, a song that set the standard for lyrical music in Sonic games, and one that still leaves an impact to this day. Sonic Adventure's intro represents the goals and ambitions of the game itself, to present Sega's ever-changing mascot in a fresh new way and to advertise what would end up being the grand finale of Sega's console-making career. It had everything riding on it, and the developers had everything to prove, so they brought their A-game and made sure that this game, along with its intro, would leave a lasting impact. And by now I'm sure we can all say that it most definitely did just that. These days, however, all of this has changed. Sega is no longer in the console business. They're a much smaller company than ever. Modern Sonic games are now primarily based around nostalgia, while Sonic Boom plays it safe with an average Saturday morning children's cartoon and a small collection of low-budget licensed games. Sonic in general is just at a standstill, and that's understandable. Sega has found something that works for them, and presenting Sonic in this way is just the safest, most successful thing they can do, right? Well, maybe for now, but that will only get them so far. I can already see signs of fans and the general audience beginning to lose interest in Sonic, because everything has either just been too samey or too mediocre for their tastes. With Sonic slowly decreasing in relevance and sales as time goes on, maybe the time has finally come for Sega and Sonic Team to create something ambitious again. For Sonic to take the next big step in his own evolution, and to come out with something that really wows us again. I hope that one day, the producers and developers of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise realize that the one thing that has made Sonic what he is today is his ability to leave a lasting impact on his audience. Despite the flaws of certain individual games in the franchise, there was a point in this series that featured nothing but ambitious games that had every intention of bringing the franchise forward, rather than keeping it stuck in the past. That, my friends, is what gives fans their overall perception of this franchise. That is what will allow Sonic to move forward as time goes on. That is what makes Sonic, Sonic. This is a series that succeeds when it has something to prove. It's a series that succeeds when it creates an experience that can somehow resonate with the hearts and minds of its players for years to come, and gives them something that they can remember. Will another Sonic game ever be able to capture that magic again? Only time will tell. And it's all up to Sega and Sonic Team to decide what they think is best for the Blue Blur. All I know for sure is that if the next Sonic game is a monumental success, I'll be able to tell before the title screen even appears. The intro sequence will reveal all we need to know, and only then will we all be ready for Sonic's next grand adventure.